but my experiences, I was just in there a little over 2 years. And my first 3 months were at North Carolina State.
Right.
They wanted to make an engineer out of me. We would have lost the war if I had won. But when we were losing the Battle of the Bulge, which another McArthur was in, they took us everybody under a B plus went to camp, training camp. And that was easy for them to pick me because I went to Fort Riley, Kansas. And that's where I first learned how to ride a horse. I told them, I said, they picked me because I have a propensity to be a radio operator, and I had no experience with a horse. I had never ridden a horse, saddled a horse. 15 minutes later, I'm riding bareback on a horse at a gallop around with my arms stretched out in prayer while I'm galloping around this dirt corral. That was my introduction to horses. We had hands out, and if you lowered your hands, they screamed at you out. And I felt like I was going to fly. And one of their members did fly. He was hurt very badly. We never saw him again. They hauled him off, and he broke his glasses. But it's an interesting horse, though. The day I left Fort Riley, they had just gotten 5,000 new horses and had them along the railroad tracks. You had to string them. You couldn't put them together because they'd kick each other. So you had to space between each horse. You don't have any 5,000 horses. That's a lot of horses. And we were going along in the freight car, and before they pulled the windows down, it just horse. And I helped the veterinarian there give the horses a shot. They had 3 men helping. First you took a straight razor and you cut his neck. And then, shut up. And then you put some medicine on there, and then the guy came along with a needle and hit the horse. Then they gave you the horse and you had to walk and hook and tie up the horse. And if you didn't move fast, that shot hit that horse. And all of a sudden, after about 4 or 5 horses, it was further to go because you had to keep them apart because they'd kick each other. So I'm going along, and all of a sudden this horse looks, he starts snorting, and he raises up. And a horse is very tall when it's on its hind legs. And he's looking at me, and all I could do was do what they said, reach in and grab him by the nose and squeeze, and he turns into a lamb. He just comes right down on his knees. And that's the only way to keep him quiet was to hurt him. Boy, when you're looking up at horses with 2 hooves out there, and they were ready to kill because they hurt. That shot hurt. What else do I wish I had pictures of the horse. We went through the countryside, past farms, up on a mountain they called the Rim Rock, which was straight up and straight across. And you had to climb up. Well, going up wasn't bad, but coming down was terrible because you had to, you couldn't lean back on your horse because his kidneys are right behind you. You had to lean straight or forward. Well, this rim, they call it the Rim Rock. This was scary because you're looking down at oblivion. And you think, if that horse slips, they'll never hear from me again. And mine slipped. Because there was a tree down there and he went down, it was muddy, and he went to turn and he fell right on top of me. And the sergeant was so angry. He says, McArtor, if you've hurt that horse, you're going to be on KB for the rest of your life. He said, I can get more men, but I can't get more horses. So thank you, Sarge, for worrying about me. But anyhow, I was glad to leave the horses behind when I went overseas. And though we fought against Japanese horses, and that we ended up having to kill the survivors' horses because they were so beat up. It was merciless. Our machine guns just cut them down, chew off their legs. And that was worse than seeing the dead men, I think, was seeing those dead horses. But they were the only horses. I never saw another horse in the Philippines, I don't think, except for the Japanese horses. But they were beautiful horses. The Japanese had some steeds. Even in Japan, we ran across the stables of the officers, and they had the very best horses you could. They looked like race horses almost. I couldn't handle those horses. They were tough. They were not cut, as they say, which is, all these horses had to be circumcised, so they lost their ardor for love. And in most cases it worked. But the steeds of the officers were not. When our horses died, one of the things we had to do was cut their tail off and make a crop out of it and hand it to the officers so they could whisk the flies off of their horse. This sounds barbaric, but that's the way that it worked. And to bury a horse, you'd have to have a room almost the size of the grave, but the size of a horse is big.